Hello and welcome to a look at ATV Simulator for the Commodore 64, a game that was released by Codemasters. The aim of the game is to drive an ATV across various different tracks filled with obstacles that has to be navigated at different speeds and different angles of wheelie. And that is basically I was about to say plot, but the aim of the game. It is a game that you can play one or two players, and if you are playing a single player, you're just playing against the timer, and if you're playing two player, you're playing against the other player and the timer. There are various different tracks, actually quite a few more than you necessarily anticipate for a budget range game, but one thing that is common for all of them is that the time given to complete each track is actually quite tight in general, and of course it doesn't have that marvelous thing that any time you have remaining from a previous track could be divided by 5 or something and give you a few extra bonus seconds in order to have a bit more time for the later tracks. Such a thing does not exist in this game. It has a fixed timer for each track, and you just have to deal with that timer or fail. Looking at this game, it would be incredibly simple to just claim it is kickstart with an ATV instead of a dirt bike. For those who may not be aware, Kickstart was a game that was released by Mastertronic, in which you were driving across various different obstacles at various different speeds, making sure to do wheelies at the correct times, using dirt bikes, basically. But making that comparison would be just about as fair as claiming that every shoot 'em up ever made was inspired by the very first shoot 'em up that ever appeared. And I am not going to be that short-sighted. But the similarities between the two games are definitely noticeable. I suppose it lends itself to the game type that there will be similarities between them. The technical aspect of things, the graphics are perhaps a bit basic by and large, but the overall quality of the graphics is actually decent. I would like the fact that the ATV is responding to the surfaces you are driving across. There's animated GIF in the ATV, and of course the rider when he's doing wheelies and all that kind of stuff is responding somewhat appropriately. Again, for a budget release title, you can't really complain. The title music is decent. It has that distinctive David Whittaker sound to it. It's always nice when musicians have their own style and stick to it. And I don't particularly find it amazingly great, but it's definitely not bad either. The other jingles and sound effects and that kind of stuff is perfectly serviceable. Again, for budget release title, it's minimal what you actually can expect for that price, but overall, it's not bad at all. The controls: left for braking, right for accelerating, off for doing wheelies, and down to cancel your wheelie, or lower the angle of your wheelie I should say, and a fire button to jump. Very similar to other games of the same kind type. So, from a technical point of view, there's very few complaints about this game. And then we come to the gameplay. And I'd say I have very few complaints about the gameplay, except for the fact that it starts out fine and then becomes outright stupid. Riding the tracks themselves or navigating the tracks themselves would be a challenge enough, because of course you have to learn what speed you need to be at, when to jump and that kind of stuff. But for some bizarre reason, whoever designed this game felt that it wasn't adequate to have stages with normal obstacles that you have to deal with. It would be a lot more fun if you randomly bumped into, well, it's not random, it's fixed per stage, but if you bumped into other things that could dislodge you or dismount you from your ATV, such as seals bouncing balls, tornadoes, crows, whatever, flying around. And in my opinion, the only thing those serve to be is a bloody nuisance. There's no consistent way to avoid collision with them. You can try and jump through them and hope for the best, but the fact that you can get dismounted by some random object and be trapped in such a way that whenever you get back on your bike, you get dismounted immediately after. And that can happen 3 or 4 times in a row, and of course when you have a tight time limit, yeah, you can possibly imagine that it starts getting incredibly frustrating. The rest of the game, I mean, the driving, the riding, the navigating the tracks, it feels natural, it feels decent, it's nice to play, and of course the graphics help a lot to convey the feeling of actually riding an ATV. If it wasn't for those random obstacles, which are, again, not random, but you know what I mean, I think I would have enjoyed this game infinitely more than I actually ended up doing, because I just got frustrated. You get into a scenario where you get dismounted 3, 4, 5 times in a row, and then your timer's out, and then you have to go through the earlier stages again to get to the trouble point, and again close your eyes, pray, and hope that everything works out the way you want them to. The overall conclusion has to be that as a T-Brains game, this is very, very competent and very, very polished. But the decision to add random obstacles to a game that already can be challenging enough because of the tracks themselves just takes so much away from it, in my opinion. This is a bit of a shame, but for the cost, it would definitely have been a decent value for money. And on that note, I'm going to say thanks for watching, take care, see you next time, bye bye for now.